Have you had a color bleed catastrophe with one of your quilts? Has someone spilled something on there that you're now worried to get out in the wash? Do you pre-wash or not before you make your quilts? Let's turn some of these quilting and washing catastrophes into happy endings. I'm Lori from Lori's Country Cottage. This is How Tuesday. Quilt care. Some quilts, some heirloom quilts, should be treasured and need to be treated with more care. But other quilts are made to be used and loved. If your quilts are hanging on the wall, on the bed, on the table, and they need a refresher but they aren't dirty, you could throw them in the dryer under tumble just to fluff them up and to get the dust, etc. out. If you've made your quilt with good quality fabrics, there should be no issue to wash them. If they require a wash, it's recommended you wash in cold water. Do as I say, not as I do. I wash most of my laundry in warm water, as well as my quilts. Quilts should be washed on the delicate cycle to reduce the friction during the washing process. I personally have never had this happen, but in my research I found a couple people report that they have had their quilts torn under the agitator in a top-load machine. So it is recommended to use a front-load machine. Once your quilt is washed, I tumble dry my quilts for 10 to 15 minutes on cool, just to get the major water out. Then I hang them over my railing to dry the rest of the way. If you prefer to skip the dryer step, lay your quilts out on towels and dry them flat. If your quilt is hung directly from the washer, it's heavy with water and can pull on the fibers and the seams. My quilted placemats get washed every week. They go in the wash with the rest of the load and are dried completely in the dryer. I prefer to use the 80-20, 80 cotton, 20 poly Hobbs bonded batting for these. The batting needs to be quilted every 4 inches, and my placemats have adequate quilting for that. Those placemats will fade and will get worn out much quicker than any other quilts, but I am washing them every week. There's a few products at Lori's that I have here that we recommend for your laundry related tasks. Number 1 is the dye lock. And dye lock, if you're washing your quilt for the first time, this is a piece of cotton that goes into your wash, and it's a color catcher. It doesn't remove the color from your fabric, but it does absorb the loose dye. Once the dye lock becomes dark, it needs to be replaced. Each dye lock can be used for about 30 plus washes. When it gets too dark, you throw it out. They can be used in your front load or your top load machine. And if they follow your clothes into the dryer, if you miss pulling them out, it's not a problem. They can go in the dryer as well. Soak is what we recommend to wash your clothes with, or your quilts, I mean. Any of your hand washables. This is a no-rinse product designed to pull the dirt from your quilts and attach it to the water. You add a couple of capfuls to your washer, or a capful or teaspoon to every gallon of water if you prefer to use soak in the tub. If you decide to use soak in the tub, you can give it a quick rinse when you're done, but it isn't required. Soak leaves no residue on the fabric. Soak is biodegradable, safe on baby clothes, hand washables, quilts, and your hands. Comes in different scents. We just have the unscented. It seems to be the most popular. And you'll see the scents, the color of the liquid looks different with different scents. All of the liquid is clear. The color of the label makes the color go into or look like it's into the liquid, but all of the liquid is clear. The regular size bottle, this one, will provide 75 washes, and the small 3 ml bottle is flight friendly and great to throw in your overnight bag for unexpected washing when you're on your travels. I've used soak on a wet face cloth to wash the front of a light colored vest nightly while I travel. No need to rinse, no residue. There are sample sizes as well, and these are nice to add with the washing instructions to a gifted quilt. So should you pre-wash your fabric? The routine that most quilt shop quality fabrics go through during the dyeing process reduces that chance of colors bleeding. Seems that red, purple, and dark blue are the most suspect for bleeding. You can test for color fastness by cutting a small corner of your fabric and soaking it in a cup of hot water. And I like to soak it in a cup that the inside is white, and use very hot water. And if it's going to bleed, you will see color in your water. At that point, you will want to treat it with something, and I'll go over that next. Alternately, to check for color fastness, you can put a pressing sheet on your ironing surface, and you will want to use a pressing sheet because if you have a bleed, it will bleed down to your ironing board. So on a pressing sheet, you put your suspect fabric on top, put a piece of white cotton fabric on top of that, spray it so that it's wet, iron it dry. If it's going to bleed, your white fabric will show that leaching of color. If these experiments that you do show some color transfer, try Retain. Retain sets the dye. 1 teaspoon per yard, and then you rinse it and dry it, and this should set your color. So you might want to do that in the sink or in a tub, and you need 1 teaspoon per yard of fabric. Retest your fabric to make sure the color doesn't lift again. You can repeat if you think that there's not much left, but you'd like to try again. The other thing is you may not want to risk that fabric in your quilt if it is bleeding after you've done the Retain. If you've had color bleeding in a finished quilt, try Synthropol in your wash. This is a remedy for color bleed. Synthropol pulls loose dye, keeps it suspended in the water, thus preventing backstaining while you remove the excess color. To remove a color bleed in the washer, add a teaspoon per gallon to hot water. If the color is not removed, you need to soak it longer, stir it around, and the water should be hotter. If you use maybe a candy thermometer or a instant read thermometer, the temperature should be up to 140 degrees. The hotter the water, the better it works. And so you want to just try it in your washing machine first with hot water. Otherwise, you want to try it with hotter water. Amadex stain wipes, there's 10 packs in here, and they're individual little wipes. You can use them to clean ink and stain, removes all ballpoint gel, permanent markers, and it's an eco-friendly formula, and it can be used on clothing, carpeting, furniture surface, even on your skin. It removes food stains, grease, toner, blood, and more. So these are individual packs. This is a handy one to throw in your overnight bag as well. Fabric shield or fabric protector. I sprayed it on to this, the edge of this quilt. Now you want to spray about 6 inches up. Now I've used this to protect my quilts, my furniture, my drapes, cross stitch, embroidery, anything that you want to protect. It protects against spills, dust, dirt, and UV rays. Waterproofs the fabric. I have used it on my fleece jacket because my fleece jacket is nice and warm and it has windproof in it. So if I spray with this, it will waterproof it as well. Once I wash it, it needs to be resprayed. Now I'm going to do a little experiment here. I'm going to pour water on here and you'll see what happens to that water. It just beads right off. So I'll try that again so you can see it. I hope you'll be able to see that. How it beads off. That is the fabric shield. Grandma's Secret Spot Remover. I forgot to tell you about this. A drop is all you need. It opens and there's a dropper on the end here. It removes grease, oil, paint, makeup, ink, blood, tar, coffee, wine. Can use it on fabrics, carpet, rugs, pet bedding, even leather. Actually I didn't use this. I used the soak on my area rug in my kitchen. I just put a little bit of it on a face cloth, a wet cloth, and I rubbed it on the spot. Then I took a brush and I scrubbed it, and then I soaked up any extra water with the towel. And so there's a lot of things you can do with these things. All of these products are biodegradable, environmentally friendly, and safe. So the fabric guard, goes on, you spray it on, protects for UV and waterproofs it, keeps dust and dirt off your furniture or your embroidery, your quilts, etc. Amadex is a stain remover that is in little packs, so a handy one to take along. Dye lock is for your first washing of your quilt to pull any loose dye from your fabric. Soak is a no-rinse product that cleans up nicely and you don't have to rinse it. Yes, you can put it in the wash machine. This bottle will do 75 washes. Retain, I always say it's retain, but it's not, it's retain. Set your dye. You can use this in the sink before you put it in your quilt. If you've had a quilt that's bled, you want to use Synthropol, and this will remove the color that has bled. Grandma's Secret Spot Remover does that, removes spots. It also says on here that it will remove color bleed from your quilt. Then you would just put it on the spots that have the color bleed. I have not tried that myself. So that is our How Tuesday. I hope I've helped you a little bit with your quilt and your fabric care. And I thank you all for watching. I'm Lori from Lori's Country Cottage. Bye for now.